that, sometimes people will say, someone said, I love you, and the other person didn't. That's a problem.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
It's funny you say that. I have someone who's extremely close to me that won't say it back.
Mm.
Really?
Yeah, and I say it to them all the time, but they refuse to say it back.
Hmm.
And you
And I,
continue
and I
to
think,
say it.
and why haven't you have you posed the question right then and there? Can we just take a pause for a minute, whoever that person is? I just said something to you, and I just expected a response to it, and you didn't respond. Can you help me understand what that's about? And I know that puts you.
That yeah, I don't think I've said it, right? And then they won't say it back. And so I was with a couple of friends of mine. I said, I'm telling you, they won't say it back. And so we called back and I said it again and they refused to say it.
Yeah. See,
Mm.
there's a for running meetings, there's a thing called Robert Rules of Order, and it's
Okay.
how they run generally government meetings, and you have to make a motion and someone has to second it. But the part I love about Robert's Rules of Order is you can call, there's a thing called calling the question. When you get tired of people talking, you raise your hand and you say, hey, excuse me, I want to call the question. And then again, someone has to second it and the group has to vote on. But what that's saying is we've debated enough. I need to call the question. And I think you have to call the question. I've told you I love you 792 times. I need to call the question. And I don't care. I'm not looking for a second to the motion. I am calling the question. You need to answer because I'm not that desperate for love that I'm going to profess the 794th time. It's not happening. So you have to realize you have to stand up for what you stand up for, and to let a person get away with that. So are they going to profess it when you're gone? If something happens to you, that's when they're going to, they'll stand up. Oh yeah, I love Andrea. What I don't want to. Who wants to hear that?
No one
So I would call the question and then be prepared
for the answer.
for the answer and
Mm.
live with the answer because
Mm.
often people will do what they can get away with, and if they've got this far in your life by not telling you that they love you, but also on the other side, be prepared, it's not always about you. You'll hear the story, and this is the hardest thing I get trying to get people to understand. There's a story behind why they won't do it, and once you understand that story, you appreciate it. And you may hear that they told their grandmother, "I love you," and then the next day she was dead. So they believe in their mind, if I tell someone I love them, they're going to die. And they're like, "Sir, you're 62 years old. Do you think you have the power of like they should?" And you were 12 when your grandmother died. We've had 50 years on the other side, and you still think if you say you love somebody, they're gonna. So when you were 12, but a lot of times people stay stuck in those moments, and so they really you think it's about you, but you may find there's a story behind it that explains like why is it so difficult. So again, one other example is there was a couple that went to a retreat that I was doing, and one of the rules of the husband was there is no ironing in the house. You can iron in the in the on the patio, but you cannot iron in the house. And what they eventually started doing was dry cleaning. Everything was dry cleaning. And they brought this up in the retreat, and I said, "Ma'am, would you like an answer as to why that's the rule?" And she said, "Yes." And sir, would you like to give your wife the answer? And he said, "Yes." He said, "Well, because I left the iron on when I was 7 years old and I burnt the house down." And
Mm.
they were married for 50 years, and she was like, "Why didn't you tell me that was the reason?" So again, there's often a story behind the behavior. And once you call the question and say, "We're not going on another day without this," for me having an understanding, you walk away like, I thought they were special, but I understand why they're special in that particular.
So when
Sure.
you gonna call a question, Dre?
We call when I get off.
Okay.
Good, good,
Good. Good.
seriously, yeah.